you?
For the benefit of you three.
I'm awesome. How are you?
This is something for you to digest for the,
That's something.
pardon my back.
No problem.
Got material to hand out?
Admin, Public Works. I put a
Huh.
note in the margin to replace.
He's not supposed to.
Here, just hand it over.
That's downstairs. Actually, these some?
Those are Mr. Boland's, hired
That's Mr.
camera
Boland's
crew.
attorney, so.
I do have this handout as well.
This tripod. Stand up.
You wanna
Turn it
sit down a
out,
little
roll
bit, or
back.
you good?
I'm fine.
Okay. And you guys got agendas there?
Be there. Do we get it there?
All right, since we're all here, I'm gonna go ahead and get started.
If you don't mind just a second, I'm going to
Sure.
open up my laptop of reason because
Take your time.
Amanda said we have no one here to take minutes.
Yeah, I was
Just
hoping
like
that
it
we
was
could all
done.
just sort of like jot down our thoughts, and we can maybe share notes at the end.
I will take minutes sort of on the laptop here.
Great.
She said that was similar to one of the smaller committees.
Yeah, I think the mediation committee did it that way,
So,
if I'm not mistaken.
I'm fine with taking
Somebody
them, I'll
took
let somebody
notes.
else sort of.
Yeah, sort of.
Why do you have this?
John just
That's
passed it out to you?
That's next Tuesday night.
But that's not related to.
Oh, it's not related to this?
Okay.
Oh.
No, that's why I'm going to put it off.
All right,
I gave it to you to consider.
all right, never mind that.
So we can discuss it next Tuesday.
Okay.
All right. Okay, you let me know when you're ready, Joe. Oh, is it down to drinks that needs one? I'm good.
Yes, Mr. Stein.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm just going to pass mine around.
We're gonna swim in that.
Yeah.
I always think of that when you're there. You're not swimming. You're team.
Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, great. So we'll go ahead and get started. Call to order. Councilmember Stein, Joe Garantano, Councilmember Garantano, and Councilmember Shea are all here, ready to go. All right. Electing of a chairperson. I mean, I don't know how many times we're going to meet this committee, but maybe it might be a good for functionary detail to go ahead. I'm going to nominate myself to be the chair if you don't mind.
I was thinking, since we're not going to be going for long, that, might be some way for Greg to provide that service as a way to, wrap up his tenure here at the council, with the council. I don't think
Is he resigning?
No, but
Oh, okay.
I'm not running.
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, do you have a problem with me doing it, or?
I don't know. I mean, I would like to do it. I think it would be good.
Okay.
Simply because, just like when we created this subcommittee, the idea was to kind of have two ends of the spectrum, and then a middle
What
person.
spectrum are we talking about?
Well, I don't know, what spectrum was it?
Did I say that?
Yes.
I did?
Well,
So anyway,
I'm a little uncomfortable with that kind of a division, because I think all of us are here objectively,
okay.
and I certainly don't want to be categorized as part of a spectrum. I don't think that's really fair.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm definitely not. So
definitely not what?
I'm definitely not part of any spectrum.
But if I said you were, how would you feel about that?
I don't know. I mean,
hey, it's a rainbow.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't think we should start with a division of this group.
I don't think we are.
Okay.
I don't think
So then,
so.
Do we have a motion?
well, I mean, I'll move that I be the chair. I mean, I took the initiative of setting up the meeting and writing the agenda. So, I don't know if that qualifies for much, but
Do we have a second?
I guess not.
Okay. So I'll make the motion for Greg to be the chair. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I guess we know the outcome of that.
Well,
Then you're the chair.
We should make sure to take a vote on that. Let's not skip any process. So let's just do a roll call vote on that for election of the chair. The motion is for Greg. Start with.
point of order, Mr. Chairman? Are you gonna have the time to do it?
I will. Yeah, and fortuitously or not, had some big changes to make this week, so. Okay, so yes.
Okay. All right, so wait, Councilmember Shea?
I'll oppose.
Okay. Councilmember Stein?
Yes.
Councilmember Garantano? Yes. So, 2 votes for, in favor, 3, the motion passes.
Okay, I guess you take over from here.
Okay.
I
Well,
just want to make one note. When I made this agenda, the public comment was supposed to be at the bottom, and I'm not sure if when Amanda rewrote it, if she accidentally switched that. I just thought it might be appropriate to have it at the end of the meeting.
okay. Well, let's start with that then. Do we want to adjust the agenda?
I would move that we adjust the agenda.
Okay, so we put public comment at the end after miscellaneous or before?
Before.
Okay.
Yeah, after next steps.
Okay.
So what you think? I mean, just to, that
I'm
way
good
they
with
can
it.
hear the whole conversation and
Yeah,
we can
I'm
incorporate.
good with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so all in favor of that motion to move
Aye.
public comment before miscellaneous? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. So then we go into overview of community goals, and I will be honest here. I know that you all may have prepared something. I am coming into this pretty much as a blank slate. I don't have any investigators in mind. I am, kind of expecting this to be a very collaborative thing. So let's just start by going through some of the goals that we had. We don't have a copy of the motion as we had for creating the subcommittee.
Well, we have the maker.
But we have the
motion here,
maker.
So you need to
So
revisit
let
that.
me see if I can
Right,
summarize
copy
this.
from the draft.
Oh, you have the minutes? Okay.
The draft minutes.
Okay.
So provided by Carla. Councilmember Greg Manny motion to establish a subcommittee to bring forth recommendations for an independent investigator to investigate and report findings relative to the charter complaint allegations brought forth by Mr. Salvatore to this committee, with those names to be submitted to this committee at the next meeting.
Okay.
Then these are the draft minutes.
If I can point out, Mr. Chairman, it's complaints, period, no qualification.
You mean?
Mr. Salvatore level complaints.
Right.
Charter complaint allegations. So,
I believe it's more than that, but.
No, there were, I think it was charter complaints, ordinance complaints. However, I don't think that it's going to be exclusive of that,
Right.
because the way that it's written.
So, my understanding, so if we go back to what happened at the council, is that the council council sent this to Admin Public Works to figure out how we were going to run the investigation, procedures, and who was going to do it, all of that. At the last admin meeting, we talked through creating this subcommittee with the purpose of what was just read. And do you feel that that's accurate with clarification of complaints?
Well, what are you referring to now? You talking
What he just read.
This motion?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we
create
agreed
the
the motion was agreed to find an independent investigator to investigate complaints as leveled by Mr. Salvatore.
Yes. Okay.
And they are limited to the Mr. Salvatore's complaints.
Right. Now, with that, and we'll have this meeting, and then the next admin meeting is next Tuesday. And so I honestly don't think we're going to be able to meet the objective of having names.
Correct, I
back,
don't think so either.
But, you know,
Not by Tuesday.
by next Tuesday, right?
Right.
But we'll get started.
And obviously, we want to do this right. We don't want to do this
Correct.
in a hurry.
And rush.
So
Yeah.
I don't think that, I'm not sure, I'm not going to speak for you, Councilmember Grignani, but I don't think it was a matter, the deadline was not the critical factor here of the December 4th. Obviously, we don't want to drag our feet, but preparation sometimes does take a while.
Well, I think it was mentioned by Chair Garitano at the meeting, and admin, you guys would bring this back as a subcommittee for the 4th of December. Now, realistically, I had no anticipation that you might actually achieve that in a 3-week time frame, so I don't know, it depends on what you guys decide tonight.
I think we're giving it a valiant effort.
I'm not going to tell you what to do here. You guys are going to decide on an investigator at some point, and then bring that back to the rest of us.
And that was my understanding from the meeting. You know, the motion that you made was come back with some names. I felt like it was like you were looking for 2 or 3 names to come back to that admin public works.
Or even one option if you find that one is, if you want to make a recommendation.
Yeah, I think it's up to us
again,
to decide how we want to do it.
you.
Right.
Yes.
Committee work here, that's what we're doing.
And
Right.
then the admin public works committee was mandated by the council through a motion to come up with those procedures for the investigation. So we owe it back to the council
I
to
believe that is
say,
correct.
here's the framework, and it will include scope
Correct.
and other parameters that need to be
It
defined.
would be my understanding that you would make a recommendation to the committee, who would then vote to decide to accept your recommendation and pass it on to the city council at large.
Right. And the other thing that I would expect fully is that when we bring this back to admin next week, that there could be further direction given to the subcommittee at that time.
Yeah, we should have a discussion about it.
Exactly. So,
I mean, I'm not even anticipating that we may not need to meet again. I don't know.
maybe.
But
I mean,
I think we ought to reserve the option.
Yeah.
But it depends on how effective we are at moving this thing along tonight and then bringing something back to the committee for further discussion and examination.
Okay.
Okay?
Have we addressed all of the goals as you guys have? Are there any goals that we haven't?
Well, I think the goal, an expanded conversation about the goals. First of all, I have a question. You started your introduction with it. You had not done any preparation. So I'm going to ask, have you read the complaint?
Well, yeah. No, what I meant is.
Okay, I know what you meant, but you've read the complaint?
Yes.
Because this is the complaint?
Yes.
Okay. And did you get a disc?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, good. So are there any questions about the complaint that we need to discuss? Is there a lack of clarity as far as what you understand the complaint to be, the nature of the complaint? We're going to make sure we're all on the same page here.
To me, I think it's difficult for any of us, honestly, to really fully, not assess, but to, from a legal perspective, to understand how this went with Engelmeyer. And so, to me, the purpose of the investigation was for us to have, sort of an independent, unbiased review and a full investigation rather than just a procedural, we should, look at this further, or there's nothing here, nothing to see here, keep it.
Well, to sort of go back to your original justification for, wanting to be chair, the recognition that I think you're trying to give voice to was that this this issue has served to be quite polarizing. And maybe that's the better frame of mind to look at this. I don't see this committee as being polarized.
No.
Okay? But I think that the point was to bypass all of that, take that out of the hands of an emotional or political realm, and put it into the hands of a completely independent voice and set of eyes. And so that, to me, is the primary goal. But having said that, I think we do need to have a genuine understanding of the complaint that's been issued, because we can't actually direct an investigator In fact, I have information here that I'm going to hand out to you guys when we get to that point. But having spoke to 3 law firms, the questions were pretty, you know, as you would imagine. What's the nature of it? What is your goal, right? And what do you want me to do next? So I think that's where we need to really fast track this thing in terms of being able to decide. And I'll just be candid, you know, when I was asked what's the goal, I thought that was a really good question because what is the goal here? Obviously an independent investigation, and we want to understand the full breadth of our ordinances and our charter as it's interpreted through an independent investigation. So we need to have that. So, but I also thought it would be a great opportunity for us to discuss that so that when we go back, and I'm going to encourage you to contact those that I've contacted and interview that person the way I did, I think it's important that we be able to answer that question.
Okay. What are the goals that you have listed?
Excuse me, but as far as
like in the minutes, because I think it's to get.
You're talking about the goals that were
of this subcommittee.
For this subcommittee, it goes back to the motion that was made, which was to bring forth recommendations for an independent investigator to investigate and report findings relative to the charter complaint allegations brought forth by Mrs. Salvatore.
Okay.
So therefore,
and that was my question.
Our goal is,
are there other objectives that we have?
No, the motion and my understanding is that we are supposed to just come back with some recommendations and names of people who would be potential independent investigators. And Councilman Gragnan nodded his head yes. He's the maker of the motion, I think.
That's your only job. That I view as your only job.
Yeah.
Is to return with a recommendation for an independent investigator to the rest of the committee.
Right. So we come back solely with some names, and we just need to figure out how we come up with them, whether we, identify them through research, or if there's any process that we want to come up as a subcommittee to come up with those names.
Okay.
But we're not selecting this for clarity. We're not tasked with identifying and selecting the independent investigator.
I don't think it precludes us. I mean, if we agree that there's an individual that's ready, I mean, you could make the recommendation.
If there's one that's all we can come
I mean, I don't
up
think we can do it tonight.
Right.
Unless you guys have, do you have material to submit?
I've only come up with one name that I'm going to be applying. So.
Do you have that information available to share?
I do.
Okay, great.
Okay. So, sounds like we're clear on the goals, or goal. So let's talk about the RFP. So I guess my question about this is, so we've got a few different things. One is we need to think about what we're looking for in an investigator, but we also need to kind of frame up when we're looking for that investigator, what are the things that we want them to be able to address, right? And so I think about this very similarly to what we did when we were doing the city attorney search, and thought about, we listed out things that we thought were important for a city attorney to have. So that's something that I would like us to, we can either, kind of bullet point those things out now, or...
Why don't you start?
Okay. So, to me, is first and foremost is somebody that's qualified, right? That should be a given. But second is that
qualified. I mean, obviously an attorney.
Yeah, an attorney,
okay.
but their experience in municipal law.
Municipal law.
And ideally would have experience in doing independent investigations.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is separate from qualifications, but it's that this individual must be conflict-free. Can't be conflicted with the city.
Well, if you call any of these, the first thing they do is run
Exactly.
They run the names
Yeah.
and come back, and that's how I
Yeah.
eliminated several,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
So
that's a very important.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't get past that, you don't have
Right.
a, you don't
Well,
have a selection.
frankly, we didn't get through that with Engelmeyer. He's pretty conflicted. So.
Mhm.
So.
Well, we're not anything else.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Okay, well, conflict free is an automatic because
Yeah.
they determine that.
Right. Okay. Well, I think we can determine that as well, because I think if you ask the city attorney whether or not Mr. Engelmeyer is conflicted, he would say, well, no. And I don't think that, I know I would not agree with that.
Yeah, but most of the responses that I got from law firms or individuals who were interested said, you know, give me the names of those named in the complaint, and I'll tell you if I can.
Okay.
If I can. So they self-filter that pretty much.
But did they also ask you the name of the complainant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I sent the complaint to people who are interested.
I mean, to me, if as long as they don't have a conflict with the folks named, with Mr. Salvatore, or with the city of Wildwood, then I think that satisfies the bar.
Okay. Any other qualifications that you'd like to mention?
I can't think of any. Okay.
No, I
Primary.
agree with what you've all stated there. These are good criteria.
Okay.
May I add a comment? I think it would be important to have someone who has some experience in this particular aspect of municipal code.
Well,
You
municipal
mean
experience would be ordinance, familiarity with ordinances, with sunshine law, with investigations in general, with charters.
Are you thinking that, like, yeah, experience with investigations municipal, or are you saying investigation municipal and First Amendment?
Well, it could be investigations in general, reference to political infractions, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think primarily it ought to be municipal experience as it pertains to ordinance, ordinance and charters, because those are people who are going to understand municipal communities. They understand how small government works and how charter cities are run and how charters affect the way cities are run and how important a charter is to the city. You know, there's a reason why we got charter status in this community, because it's important. It's a way to put people in control of their government. So, you know, charter experience and municipal ordinances are, I think, paramount. And beyond that, whether they have independent investigation experience it's almost a matter of interpretation, because if you represent, if they've represented, let's say, a council member in a particular matter, or a resident or their own interest in a municipality, those would all, I think, be sort of investigatory roles, but from different perspectives. But it's experience with municipal government.
Yeah, and I don't look at all these as things that, I mean, it's almost like looking for a job candidate. It's people are going to have them at varying degrees. And you want the one that's going to be the best fit, not necessarily the one that scores highest in one or the other. So, okay, all right. Okay, so qualifications in equalities. We've covered that. Now, I think the reason you had RFP on here was that you would think that, or you were thinking that we would go out and say, you know, we have this need, please give us a, would it be a price sheet?
I was thinking that the potential, I was leaving the option open, that we would each come to this meeting with a suggestion, and that maybe, I don't know, it wasn't necessarily stated as a goal, but maybe we could pick one or two to send to the committee